Thanks for joining us for another episode of Drop the Tailgate. I'm Barry Cross, your Region 2 Communications and Outreach Coordinator. Today I'm with Alex Jones, and Alex, I've known him for a long time, but I only recently found out that he's a competition shooter and he's into reloading. And so, Alex, what came first? How did you get into the reloading side of it?
Well, like any hobby, I'd say you probably started off somewhere, and with us it was, well, we like to hunt. We'd go out to the field, I'd like to shoot, and as we shot and shot more, I learned that I enjoy the shooting sport about as much as we do going out in the field to harvest deer.
And that's just target shooting, right?
Absolutely.
And that turned into long range?
Yes. So, you know, any kind of thing we can do around the boys becomes a competition at some point. And so, hey, I think I can shoot this still here. Well, I'm going to move a little bit farther, and then, you know, it just got to be fun.
So when did reloading come into the picture?
Really, it was more of an economics cost type situation. We got into it, and anytime you're buying and purchasing ammunition, the more of it you use, the more of it costs.
Explain to me, when you get into reloading, you got to have equipment. What is essential? How did you start purchasing it? And what does someone need in order to reload?
So there's a couple different directions you could go. Actually, there are some kits that you can buy offered by different companies, and that will get you all of the basics that you need to get started. Or if you want to probably invest just a little less and kind of figure out whether you want to get into this or not, you could buy different components at one time to kind of keep your costs down. Fortunately for us, there was a kit put together by RCBS that you see a lot of this green stuff here on the table, just called a Master Reloading Kit. It comes with the press, a scale, the priming tool, and several other different components that we need to put cartridges together.
And so you've got the scale, and that's a scale too?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things that you want to look at when you get into reloading is, you know, what type of cost do we want to invest in, and what type of precision do we want to invest in. This is a pretty good little scale. It costs about 30 or 40 bucks. You can get it, you know, at most of your sporting goods stores. And all it does is weigh how much powder you're actually pouring into a little pan. As opposed to this dispenser, which is a little more of an investment, but it does it very accurately and saves a lot of time by just punching in how much you want and letting it spit it out for you.
Okay. So there is, how big do you want to go, I guess, is part of it. So you got your scale, you got your press.
Yes.
And what are these?
These are the dies that we use. We've got at least 2 or more dies that we're going to use with any specific cartridge. We might want to shoot 30-06, we might want to shoot 243. And the 2 different dies that we use are the Resizing Die, which when you've shot a cartridge, the brass is going to expand a little bit when that bullet comes out, and all that pressure is taking place. And it also takes the primer out of the bottom, the used one. So we press that up in there, we resize it and take the primer out. Once we've cleaned our brass and get it in the condition that we want to use, we go back with the seating die. So we've put a new primer back in the bottom of the case. We've measured our powder out using some sort of scale, put it in here. Then we're going to take the bullet we've selected and press it in to the cartridge using our seating die.
So you got a little bit ahead of me there. You already put one together, but there's a lot of different parts to a cartridge. I mean, you look at one, they look like they're hard to put together. I mean, what does it take to put one of these together?
You break down the anatomy of this, and a lot of people say, well, hey, there's a bullet. Actually, the bullet is just what you see sticking in the end. And if you can see this, we're looking to notice that it's actually down in the brass just a little bit, and the calibers are all going to vary depending on what that specific standard calls for. But basically, we look into this, we've got the brass case, we've got the primer that's inserted into the bottom, we've got the gunpowder that is in the inside of the cartridge, and then the projectile or the bullet that you see sitting on top.
Okay. So you get all your stuff, and you got the gunpowder. How do you know what you're putting in there is right?
Well, that is a huge question that's really important because of safety, first and foremost. We've got this 1 pound of stuff that is, well, there's warnings all over it. Maximum loads do not exceed, reduced to start. Danger, extremely flammable. You know, there's a reason that that stuff is on this package, and that's to keep us safe. And I don't know if you know this, but all of our cartridges are built around a certain standard. They're called SAMI standards, and each one sporting cartridge that you can find at the store and are widely available have one of those. And those are what our manufacturers go by when they put these things together. And those are the same standards that we look at whenever we use one of these guides, if you will, to let us know how much powder to start with to get us, you know, in a direction that we want to go, and how much we should consider stopping at before we come into a problem.
Okay. And so each manufacturer has a book, is that, or a guide, or how does that work?
Generally speaking, you'll find that all of the bullet manufacturers produce their own literature. A lot of bullets, you know, we may find 3 different companies that produce 150 and 180 grain bullet. They're going to be shaped a little bit different, especially if we're looking at target rounds versus hunting rounds. Okay. So reason being, they've got their specific literature for their ammunition and their bullets. That way you can tailor your specific application to your needs.
When it all comes down to it, what are the benefits of getting into reloading?
Well, for me, it was economics. Every time that we go out and we enjoy pulling the trigger, there's some pennies or dollars that fly down the barrel, and we enjoy that, but we've got to justify doing it. So being able to assemble these components, obviously there's a cost variance in how much you're buying. And like any assembled component, the quality of your finished good depends on the quality of the components, and that's how much you're going to pay for it. So, you know, we can prospectively look at reloading a common rifle round anywhere between 50 cents and $1, as opposed to, you know, $1 and $4 on the shelf, by being able to do that ourselves with our own components.
What they're selling on the shelf is quality ammunition, but can you do better by reloading?
Well, that's a good point that you make. You ever notice that pre-deer season, or when you're going out to shoot still, you buy 2 or 3 different brands or boxes of ammunition and they all shoot differently? Well, those components are assembled in a different manner, or maybe they're using different style components. And we want to know what works best for our gun, because that's the one that we're going to use. And having the opportunity to do it by yourself and for yourself, you can tailor that specific need for you.
Better accuracy then?
Better accuracy and more cost effective.
Okay, and when you do reloading, I guess you have to go shoot, don't you?
Absolutely, and that's the fun part of it for me. Even if I've got something at the end of the day that didn't group just like we wanted to, I got to go out and handle my weapon for the day.
And you just kind of tweak your reload from there?
Yes, so we put our loads together, and we want to change one thing at a time. That way we've got something controlled we can follow on paper. If we change 2 or 3 things at a time, we wonder, you know, what made the difference. So we want to change primer brands this time, or we want to change the amount of powder we use next time, to see what happens.
Okay. All right, so this is the reloading. If you ever thought about getting into it, it's available to you. You can go out and purchase a kit, or you can piecemeal this together. There are manuals that will walk you through the processes, and you can go out and shoot and have a good time. Alex, thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Barry. Have a good day.